Did you have a good time at the car show? Time. My cell phone's back there. It's 2 o'clock? Okay. I'd like to call this meeting in order and welcome everybody to the City of Shelton study session today. And the first thing on our agenda is going to be a presentation, a report by our interim city administrator, Pete Butkus.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Oh, pardon. Let me make an announcement first.
Yes, sir.
We are, if you got the agenda, we are excluding the executive session at the end of this meeting. That will not take place. We so are not going to do that. So just for the agenda's sake, now I will turn that over to Pete Butkus.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Commission. Every year, city staff have participated in what's known as the Well City exercise through the Association of Washington Cities. And what this generates is a group of healthier employees, which potentially would eliminate or reduce some of our increases in our medical insurance premiums. In this case, I'm happy to relate to you and the public that because of our efforts in the past year through the Well City exercise, the Association of Washington Cities insurance pool for our medical insurance has let us know that because of our attainment level, we're going to receive a 2% discount on our medical insurance premiums in 2017. Yay. Now, the natural question that comes up is, what is this in real dollars? Well, 2% is actually about $14,300 that we project we will save in premiums next year. Beyond that, due to the options that are chosen by employees for themselves or their families, it may actually also generate some savings in the personal budgets of some of the employees. But I wanted to point this out because it shows a good effort on the part of a number of our employees to help keep our costs down and help make us a little more efficient operation. So the real kudos are to those employees who participated, and we do have some awards for some of them here today, and also to our insurance carrier who is offering these kind of incentives for healthy employees. So that's it for the media present. The news media has been a news release has been made announcing this, and I just wanted to give a little bit of update on the status. Also, we have some specific certificates to hand out here to some of the more active participants, and Commissioner Moore is going to handle that.
Okay. I understand that Leslie Ann and Vicki Look also received the awards too. Leslie, I guess, didn't want to come out to receive hers. So, Thomas Donnelly, thank you for your participation. Thank you. And Sarah Childers, there you go. Thank you so much. Good job.
We can clap at this time?
We also have awards for Greg Clark and Christina Middleton, who also participated on the committee. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to also add that Sarah is been the photographer, except for when she's in the picture, for the City of Shelton. And on the front page of the Well City that comes from AWC actually was our ski trip. And it's Dave O'Leary and Greg Clark that is featured on the front of this.
And Sarah.
Sarah?
No.
Oh, who is that? Oh, that's somebody else.
Somebody else.
Pretend it's Sarah.
Yeah. So actually, thanks to Sarah for taking the pictures, submitting them. She's the secretary. You know, she does a lot of things. So
great.
That was
Very good.
Good job.
Thank you.
That's awesome about the cover people.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and put the downtown visioning presentation off, and if the ladies representing the chamber are going to come in and talk to us, we will insert them farther down the agenda. But at this time, what we'll do is go to our weekly commission reports, and Commissioner Moore.
Oh, well, strangely enough, I have no other meetings on my calendar this week except for the weekly briefing. That happens very rarely.
All right, Commissioner McDowell.
Wednesday is a ribbon cutting at, what's the name of
It
that?
starts as sweet, I think.
Sweet Shop
Cake.
Cake Stop or something like
Yeah,
that.
that place.
Anyway, that's just a hard title to learn. Anyway, there'll be a ribbon cutting there at 4:30, opening a celebration of opening her business. And also I will be attending the Women's Candidates in the park at 11:30 at Nealon Park on Friday. And that is mine.
All right, and I think it's called Sweet Shop Cake Shop. Or
Stop. Yeah. Sweet Shop. Cake
All right,
Stop.
and, well, I'll report a little bit on what the three of us did here. Last week, we attended a conference in Everett, Washington. That was for the Association of Washington Cities. It's the annual conference, and we three commissioners go there, and we take classes, and we partake and do the different activities and networking that is, I think, extremely beneficial to the city of Shelton for us to be involved with that statewide organization. And I did wear my little ribbon tag here because while I was up there, I got a few of these little ribbons, okay? And I'm a voting delegate. I passed my certification in municipal leadership. We are a well city. And then I did donate to something, and so they give you a little donor thing. But I was gifted this middle one by my fellow commissioners while I was up there. And Kathy, do you want to read what that says, that red one?
It says, I'm the man in the middle.
There you go. So, just to let you know that I usually do sit in the middle on these meetings, but anyway, so this is just, and we all got, oh, she's got one too, okay, different things you're involved in.
Voting delegate, did you get that on yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Well City, first time attendee. I also got one, I do not like this, it said no whining.
No whining?
A little OCD and a donor. So,
And
that's not a kidney donor or anything.
No,
That's donor to
no.
a scholarship program.
Scholarship program.
Yeah.
The last thing I will say is that I did share on the first Wednesday morning, I did share the meeting concerning the Sewer Funding Coalition, and both commissioners were there at that meeting, and verbally, which means a verbal commitment after all the dust settled, it appears we picked up approximately initial 15 cities. Now we are going to be moving farther up the AWC chain of command and see if we don't get like 100 or 150 or 200 cities, so that when we go and negotiate with our state legislators, we tell them we have this many cities backing and there's power in numbers, and so we can help not only our city but all the cities across the state in helping to bring awareness to the needs that small rural communities have on infrastructure costs, and see if we can't get significant grant funding for those projects in the future. So it was a successful meeting, and I will be meeting this week with Carl Schrader of the Association of Washington Cities to formulate a letter that's going to be sent out to all cities in the state of Washington. So, and I will do a shout out to Wendy. She helped prepare a number of little cards and different information for that meeting, and it appears it was very successful. So that completes our weekly commission reports. Now there's a general public comment period. If anybody would like to take a few minutes, this is the opportunity. We have a sign-up sheet. Has somebody signed in?
I have Mr. Mike Olson.
Oh,
Mike Olson. I'm here to add a few more comments to follow up on last week's meeting and discussing the city debt. There was another fellow that commented publicly, and I'd like to address some of his comments too. One of the big issues is that he claimed in his little speech that we have a debt at Lake Boulevard. We do not. We did not borrow money to do Lake Boulevard. He stated that it was upwards of $2.6 million, $2.8 million that was borrowed money. That is not true, and I believe that staff will substantiate that. So I don't like the idea that you guys would be supporting misinformation again put out there. And speaking of misinformation, my next point is that, you know, for over 4 years, I've tried to correct your false statements of our debt level, and you know, you continued to raise those same numbers over and over again. And then when Pete
Are you talking?
You know,
to me?
I'm speaking, this is
I'm
public
asking-
comment time,
I'm
not,
asking
it's
you-
not a
Are
discussion,
you talking,
Gary.
sir, are you talking to me?
I'm talking to the commissioners.
Okay, well, you said you, so if you're talking to me, just say
It's
Mayor
a
Gary
euphemism.
Cross.
I'm talking to the commissioners, and
All of
please
us.
don't interrupt my public speaking moment. Do
sir.
I do this to you when I'm sitting in the
Sir,
public?
I'm just asking you.
What's
who you're-
what's the agenda item? Is it called public comment, or is it called Gary and
Absolutely.
Mike's conversation?
I just wanted to know who you were talking to.
I just want to make my point.
Very good.
All right, and this shouldn't count on my minutes,
Well,
your
we'll give you
interruption.
extra- We'll give you extra time.
My point is that, as I said, over the last 4 years, you've spread misinformation on the city debt. And then when Pete, kind of surmised it a little bit clearer, then I believe that you and Commissioner McDowell basically are supporting another misinformation campaign, and that now Mr. Lewis is stating that that vacation time and retirement things are now part of the city debt. That was never, ever, ever discussed as far as I ever knew. And as a commissioner, as a former commissioner of finance and sitting through 4 audits, it is in fact part of our balance sheet. It is a city liability. It is not considered a city debt. That would be like saying, well, let's see, I have a utility payment every month for the rest of this year. Is that a debt? No, it's an ongoing budget item. So for him to say that that's a part of our debt is very erroneous. And the state does recognize it as a liability. And at the same time they recognize it as a liability, they also counterbalance it with our assets, physical assets that we've accumulated through the city, which is quite substantial. Therefore, that reflects in that we have a AAA bond rating and have had that in a clean audit report for many, many years. So I just want to kind of get out there and, counterbalance some of this misinformation that you guys are now kind of glomming on to. And that now you've, instead of sticking with what Pete substantiated as fact, you've now kind of melded in there a little bit of, well, let's see, we can add this in there, we can add that in there, to bring it back up closer to, as I think Ms. McDowell said, 58 million now. So I want it real clear that city debt is a debt is a debt that's borrowed money. You can't manipulate the facts of oh, this guy's going to retire, so we owe him money. Oh, that's a debt. Well, it's in the budget process. That's taken care of there. It's not a city debt. In a loose term, it could be considered debt, but for all practical purposes, it should not be lumped into what we've borrowed and what you've campaigned on for the last 4 or 5 years as our enormous $60 million debt. That is not part of the debt.
Your time, we gave you an extra 10, 15 seconds. Thank you very much. Anybody else in the general public comment? Very good. Are we ready for a reading of the consent agenda?
Yes.
I am. Will you please have a reading of that agenda?
Consent agenda, handwritten warrant numbered 11867 to KeyBank in the amount of $9,156.86. Railroad Avenue Corridor Design Consultant, Studio KPG. Authorize the mayor to sign and city administrator to make any necessary budget modifications. Mason Transit Authority Low Impact Development Parking Lot Grant Agreement. Authorize the city engineer to sign and the city administrator to make any necessary budget modifications.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda passes. There is no old business today, but we have a couple items under new business, and the first one is going to be presented to us by our Community Economic Development Director, Steve Goins.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This is really an update on where we are at in our process of our comprehensive plan update. We are at a critical junction in terms of timing for a grant that we received from Commerce to fulfill the obligations of meeting the grant. What this table that's included in the briefing report summarizes is the different steps and measures we've taken to complete this work and the time of which some of those items came before the commission. You can see there's a number of steps that have started back in 2014. And we are at the point now where we are going to submit this draft plan in its current fashion to the Department of Commerce for an initial review. There are some steps and measures we need to take to complete this work, and probably most significantly is the transportation plan. we were significantly delayed in getting that process started. And as a result, we don't have that plan complete at this juncture. We also have some needs in getting the utility element finished as well. So we're working on that, but our obligation was to submit a draft plan by the end of the month, so that's approaching. We will be doing that. In addition, we're going to place all of these different drafts on our city website so that they're available for the community to continue to have this discussion. We'll be bringing back revisions of this through the course of the year, hoping that we have a transportation plan and utility plan to review in the coming weeks and move forward to completion. So really kind of providing a report card, I guess, if you will, of where we are and where we're going from here.
And I will say that through my communications with Mr. Goins over a few items in the updates he's been providing to us, that there is, I think he's doing a great job. It's a very difficult job to get all this information together, and so thank you very much for your effort, and we'll keep reading this stuff and keep bringing up questions to you. So
I like these reports that come out because it just keeps us going and we know we're progressing. Thank you very much.
We are progressing, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. All right, item number 2 is a resolution, and it's going to be presented to us by our city engineer, Mike Michael.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I'll keep this brief today because this is just the first step in the process. Every year we have to adopt a new 6-year transportation plan. We've been through this every year that I've been here. It's required by RCW 3577. It goes into the mix with other entities, cities, counties, ultimately into the state plan for projects that we anticipate federal funding on. This is tonight, or this afternoon, is really just the first step to get the draft project list out for public consumption ahead of a public hearing that we're required to have, and ask the Commission's concurrence on setting that public hearing for July 18th at 6 p.m.
Any questions or comments from Mike Michael?
I have a question, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Gradually, as time goes by, I'm becoming a little more familiar with this process here. So many of these projects have been on our 6-year list for a long time, and we just keep renewing the projects, and as things drop off, the other ones move up?
Yep.
Is that
Yep, that's pretty much the way it's been. There was a pretty comprehensive list that I inherited when it came on almost 10 years ago. We've been slowly working away at that since then, given the limited funds available. If you compare this year's list to last year's list, you'll see we dropped another project off. Lake Boulevard is going to be finished, so our list is starting to get shorter again.
we need a party?
And this year, because of some potential funding requests that are going around for projects that are on the list, we did shuffle some of the priorities just a little bit. We've got the SR3 projects, the Downtown Creek project, and the Evergreen Safe Route project have been brought up to the top of the list, as well as a potential TIB funded project for part of the interchange improvement associated with the Shelton Hills project. So.
Okay, so we're not bound to the priority list?
No.
Okay.
They're somewhat generalized in priority, but we always have the ability, depending on funding and immediate needs of the city, to bring projects up or down in the list as
So we
appropriate.
can shift them around.
We can shift them around at will. It's just a list of what we see in the future. So.
Okay, so the one that I never like to see on this list, I realize it's a problem, is the First Street Bridge improvements. That is the Goldsboro Creek Bridge?
That is the Goldsboro Creek Bridge. And
Just for point of clarification here, what item is that on here? What number is that?
It's number 16.
Number 16, okay. Thank you.
That bridge is on the National Historic Register and is of extreme importance to our historical inventory
Right.
in Shelton. So at the time that moves its way up, I'm anticipating we'll be looking at options so that we can save or rehab that bridge.
Absolutely. It's just there really as a placeholder. The state is going to have to be a major partner in that
Okay.
project, as you know, First Street is the state route. So
Okay.
It's there as a placeholder. Last word I got from them is they aren't even really looking at that bridge right now again, so it may be 20 years from now before that project moves up to where we really have to worry about it.
Okay, every time it comes up, I will say, I'm concerned about this bridge. So, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? Hearing none, it appears that we concur to set a public hearing date of July 18th, 2016 for the resolution 1091-0716 regarding the 2017-2022 six-year transportation improvement program. So we concur with that, I
Yes.
believe. Okay? Thank you very much. Next, we will turn the meeting over to our interim city administrator for administration report.
Mr. Mayor, I have no administration report. I'll save my sole remark for the final touch.
Very good. Another opportunity for general public comment, and we have somebody sign in.
Mr. Mike Olson, did you?
I'll let Forrest go and then I'll go after Forrest.
Okay, so Mr. Forrest.
Thank you very much, Commission, Mayor. I'm Forrest Cooper, 409 West Railroad Avenue. As you guys know, I'm a business owner downtown on Railroad. I just want to take this opportunity to applaud everybody who had efforts in the car show over the weekend. I think it was a fantastic event. It was really cool to see it happening. I just wanted to thank the Mason County Historical Society for doing such a great job. They had a huge turnout down there. I was surprised to see cars go all the way beyond 7th Street. So with that, big thanks to the city crews who got out there and closed the streets off and took care of that. Thanks to the police guys that were out there in their black uniforms on that hot day, getting all roasty toasty. I mean, they did a good job. So thank you to everybody. Oh, and one more. I was having a great conversation with our fire chief, Mike Patty, and he was. We were talking about, it's been a crazy fire season and everything, and it wasn't 5 minutes later they had sirens going and there was a garage fire up on Hillcrest. So reminder to everybody out there, keep everything dry or wet and fire safe or whatever. But thanks again for an awesome car show. I really enjoyed it, and it's always great to see more events downtown. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I will interject a comment here. It was brought to my attention that, and something that through these meetings we kind of forget, we have different policies and rules that operate these meetings. And it was brought, I think Leslie Ann brought to my attention that if we have a 3-minute comment period in the beginning, and then the same person wants to speak later, they're more than welcome to. We allow the two, but it has to be on a different subject. So Commissioner Olson, if you would like to come up, if we could keep it on a different subject, that would probably follow our commission rules.
Mike Olson still. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about, is your seemingly biased attitude up there, in that you invited the person back up, which I believe is also against the policy of city meetings, is that you don't invite people up to present a second time like that, and you allowed him to not only do that, but you allowed him to speak for 6 minutes when there's a 3-minute limit. And I've seen you many times cut off people at 3 minutes when you don't like what they're saying, but here comes a guy who's saying what you want him to say, and he gets to ramble on for 6 minutes before you cut him off, and then he finished before you cut, you didn't even cut him off. So I would encourage you to, to pay attention a little more to Robert's Rules of Orders, and especially as I spoke the first time, you interrupted me. That's not the first time you've done that. I think when the person's up here speaking, they should get the same respect that you get sitting there. Nobody shouts out to you from the audience. I think that's very demeaning to the person standing up here, and you've done that a number of times. I encourage you to both, Commissioner McDowell and yourself, to take a class called Jurassic Parliament and learn Robert's Rules of Orders. For 4 years now, you still need a script. That's crazy. Commissioner McDowell now has a script. That's crazy. Learn your job. That's what you've been elected to do. You should be a leader in the community, and this is part of it. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
There's no one further.
Very good. So we're going to move forward and go to the administration final touches.
Thank you, Mayor. On the second sheet of your agenda packet, the light purple current looking ahead document. We're planning to bring you the second quarter city revenue report based on general fund revenues on Monday, July 18th. I just wanted you to know that.
Very good.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it.
Any other administration final touches from the Public Works? All right, so at this moment, what we're going to do before we adjourn this meeting, don't we have anything that we're saying? We're not announcing anything at this meeting?
I'll make the announcement.
Oh, well, we should do it before we adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
According
Yes,
to
sir.
Robert's Rules of Order, all business should be taken care of before you adjourn the meeting. So,
Okay.
the floor is yours.
Well, I'm pleased to announce that after some anticipation, the city and Mr. Ryan Wheaton have reached agreement on an employment agreement, and we're happy to welcome him aboard upon the signed agreement at the end of the meeting today, Commission. And with a start date of Monday, I'll say that again, Monday, August the 8th. Ryan, glad to see you here.
I think we can applaud for this one. Is that okay? Welcome to City of Shelton, and at this moment, this meeting is adjourned, but I need to tell you when our next meeting is, and that is next Tuesday, because of July 4th on Monday, Tuesday, July 5th, 2016, at 6 p.m. in the evening. This meeting is adjourned.